And so we continue with this fascinating book, an insight into the thinking and the work and the different environments in which he worked of D.H. Lawrence. Selected letters, 100 selected letters written by David Herbert Lawrence to a variety of correspondence. Here we are with letter 21 to Edward Marsh. Lerici, per Friascerino, Golfo di Spezia, Italy. 24th January 1914. Dear Eddie, that Georgian poetry book is a veritable Aladdin's lamp. I little thought my snapdragon would go on blooming and seedling in this prolific fashion. So many thanks for the cheque for £4, and long life to GP. We are still trying to get over the excitement of your rush through Fiescherino. I still think with anguish of your carrying your bag up that salita from Lerici. Don't remember it against me. I have received 1 or 2 more apologies from Severino for his having taken us for the 3 Saltimbanchi. The latter, by the way, gave a great performance in Telero at the bottom there by the sea on Sunday. They performed in the open air. Elide assisted at the spectacle, but confessed to disappearing into the church when the hat came around, along with 3 parts of the crowd. The poor Saltimbanchi were reduced to begging for a little bread, so stingy was Telero. The night you went was a great fall of snow. We woke in the morning wondering what the queer pallor was, and the snow lay 6 inches deep and was still drifting finely, shadowily, out to the sombre-looking sea. Of course no Elide appeared. I got up and made a roaring fire and proceeded to wash the pots. In a queer, silent, muffled Fiescherino, even the sea was dead and still. It looked very queer. The olives on the hills bowed low, low under the snow, so the whole slope seemed peopled with despairing shades descending to the sticks. I never saw anything so like a host of bowed, pathetic despairers all down the hillside, and every moment there came the long creak of a tree giving way and the crash as it fell. The pines on the little peninsula were very dark and snowy, above a lead-grey sea. It was queer and Japanesey. No distance, no perspective. Everything near and sharp on a dull grey ground. The water cut out a very perfect sweeping curve from the snow on the beach. The Mino, the cat, had been out at night as usual. He appeared shoulder-deep in snow, mewing, terrified, and he wouldn't come near me. He knows me perfectly. But that sudden fall of deep snow had frightened him out of his wits, and it was a long time before we could get him to come into the house. At midday appeared Elide with her elder brother Alessandro, and there was an outcry. Alessandro stood in the doorway listening to the trees cracking and crying, Ma Dio, Dio, sente Signore, sente, Cristo del mondo, è una rovina. All Telero was playing to the Vergine in the church. They had rung a special appeal at 9:30, and the old women had flocked in. Elide looked once more at the driving snowflakes, stamped her foot like a little horse, and cried defiantly, Ma se il Dio vuol mandare il mine del mondo, ce lo mande. She was ready. Meanwhile Alessandro moaned, Una rovina, un danno. It really was a ruin. Quite half the trees were smashed. One could not get out of our garden gate, for great trees fallen there. No post came to Telero, nothing happened but moaning, and the 3rd day, in lamentation, they brought a commission to see the damage, and to ask to have the taxes remitted. Now they are quite happily chopping up the ruin, crying, Ora se può scaldarsi. Another excitement. Luigi, down at our house on the bay here, the evening of your departure, came home pale with excitement, found our Felice, and said hoarsely, Ma zia, io ho una brutta notizia da portare, che i 2 inglesi del Signore erano astratati stasera al pontine delle Ricci. Loud, loud lamentations from Felice, Elide maintaining stoutly, Forse mancava qualche carta, di certo è una cosa de niente. Think how you let us in for it. between strolling players and arrests. There was also a great argument between Felice and Elide as to which of you was the more beautiful. Elide said Jim Barnes, Felice said you, and they got quite cross. Addio, D.H. Lawrence. Letter 22 to A.W. MacLeod. Lerici, per Fiescherino, Golfo della Spezia, Italy, 9th February 1914. Dear Mac, I must thank you first for the books. I think Crossland's sonnets are objectionable. He is a nasty person. I think Hilaire Belloc is conceited, full of that French showing off which goes down so well in England and is so smartly shallow. And I have always a greater respect for Mark Rutherford. I do think he is jolly good, so thorough, so sound, and so beautiful. Tell me, when you write, what you thought of the poems in Poetry and in the English. I am glad you sent me the former. In England, people have got that loathsome superior knack of refusing to consider me a poet at all. Your prose is so good, say the kind fools, that we are obliged to forgive you your poetry. How I hate them! I believe they are still saying that of Meredith. In America they are not so priggish, conceited. I have begun my novel again, for about the 7th time. I hope you are sympathizing with me. I had nearly finished it. It was full of beautiful things, but it missed. I knew that it just missed being itself. So here I am, must sit down and write it out again. I know it is quite a lovely novel, really. You know that the perfect statue is in the marble, the kernel of it. But the thing is, the getting it out clean. I think I shall manage it pretty well. You must say a prayer for me sometime. Mrs. Garnett is staying at the hotel in Lerici with a Russian girl. She was speaking of you the other day. How sorry was she that she did not see anything of you? Why don't you go and see them sometimes? Kennelly says they have sent me my plays from New York, but they haven't come yet. I look forward to having them. You must have patience with my promise of one. By the way, what a frightfully decent paper the Morning Post is. The more I read it, the more I think it is worth being a gentleman and to have to do with gentlemen. Their reviews of books, their leaders, and all have such a decent, honourable tone, such a relief after the majority of newspaper filth. We have got spring coming in already. I have found a handful of the little white narcissus, with the yellow centres, and a few sweet violets, and a few purplish crimson anemones with dark centres. And one can drift about all afternoon in the boat, getting shellfish from off the rocks under water, with a long split cane. You know that warm, drowsy, uneasy feel of spring when scents rouse up? It is already here, and the lizards are whipping about on the rocks like a sudden flicking of a dried glass blade. One is wakened in the morning by the birds singing. They are almost brave. They sing aloud as the sun comes up, in spite of the bold Italian cacciatore, who, in full costume and a long, slim gun, stalks shadowily through the olive trees in quest of wrens and robins. When I walked in Switzerland and came across a colony of Italians in a public house, L'Italia, ah, che bel sole, agli uccellini. Oh, Italy, such a beautiful soul. And the little birds, aren't they good? The cry of the exile. Frida sends warmest regards. Une bonne poignée. D.H. Lawrence. Letter 23 to A.W. MacLeod. Lerici, per Fiescherino, Golfo della Spezia, Italia. 14 Marzo, 1914. Dear Mac, thanks for The House of the Dead. We have begun reading it, but I don't like it very much. It seems a bit dull. So much statement. It reminds me that the other Sunday we went to the house of a very popular modern Russian novelist, Amphiteatrov, at Levanto. It was a rum show. 26 people at lunch, a babble of German, English, Russian, French, Italian, a great fat laughing man, the host, carefully judging the Sanctaire wine. A drawing-room, clever, highly educated wife at the head of the table, a peasant sculptor in a peasant smock at the foot, and in between a motley of tutors and music teachers for the children, an adopted son of Maxim Gorky, little, dark, agile, full of life, and a great wild Cossack wife whom he had married for passion and had come to hate. Then a house full of scuffling servants and cultured children. No, it was too much. You have no idea how one feels English and stable and solid in comparison. I felt as if my head was screwed on tighter than the foundations of the world in comparison. I must say, in one way, I loved them, for their absolute carelessness about everything but just what interested them. They are fine where we have become stupid. Oh, it is so beautiful here. I feel as if my heart would jump out of my chest like a hare at night. It is such lovely spring. The sea is blue all day and primrose dusking to apricot at evening. There are flowers and peach trees in bloom and pink almond trees among the vapour grey of the olives. Today we have been a great picnic high up, looking at the Carrara mountains and the flat valley of the Magra, and the sea-coast sweeping round in a curve that makes my blood run with delight, sweeping round, and it seems up into the vaporous heaven with the tiny scattering of villages, like handfuls of shells thrown on the beach right beyond Viareggio. I could not tell you how I could jump into the air, it is so lovely. I want at this time to walk away, to walk south, into the Apennine, through the villages one sees perched high up across the valley. My novel goes on slowly. It ought to be something when it is done, the amount of me I have given it. I think there will be some of my poems in a paper called The Egoist. I don't know anything about it. Ezra Pound took some verses and sent me £3 and 3 shillings. Try to get a copy, will you? I believe it will be next month. It might be this, but I think not. But unless I can get hold of a copy, I absolutely don't know what they have published. I wish you could come here. Why don't you try? Many regards from us both. Don't you keep on sending us things. It seems such an imposition. Did you get the copy of the play I sent you? Tell me what you think of it. I wait to hear. Tanti saluti. D. H. Lawrence. Letter 24. To J. M. Murray, Lerici, per Fiescherino, Golfo della Spezia, Italy, 8 Maggio, 1914. Dear Murray, I wrote to Catherine yesterday, but don't know if she will get the letter, as the address is different. As a matter of fact, all you ought to do is get well physically and let everything else go. You say you are patient. Now use your patience for letting your soul alone and making your body well. You make one as miserable as miserable. Do, for God's sake, lie down and leave everything to other people just now. Don't bother. Things are all right. Really. Let them work out themselves. Don't give up feeling that people do want to hear what you say, or rather, they don't want to hear, but they need to, poor things. Don't be so miserable. Have patience with yourself most of all. Don't be miserable. You've used too much of your strength, and now you're weak, and will have to depend on other people for a bit. But I am sure you are the best critic in England. I'm sure you can help terrifically to a new, cleaner outlook. But you can't do anything if you squander yourself in those miseries. Do consent to be poor and dependent. What does it matter? The play, Mrs. Holroyd, well, it's not bad. I don't set great store by it. I will send you a copy when Duckworth will give me some. I will write and ask him to send you a copy. It isn't worth 3 6 of your money at any rate. 4 days, and I shall have finished my novel, pray God. Don't get sick and leave me in the lurch over it. Can you understand how cruelly I feel the want of friends who will believe in me a bit? People think I'm sort of queer fish that can write, that is all, and how I loathe it. There isn't a soul cares damn for me except Frida, and it's rough to have all the burden put on her. We are coming to London in June. Till the divorce was pronounced, we only allowed a mere possibility of England this summer. We thought of going to Germany from here, but now Frida is set on England in June. We shall come in about a month's time. For what will happen then, we must pray heaven, but I only decided to come 2 days ago. I'm glad I shall see you again soon. We must try and be decent to each other all around. I wish you had come out here instead of going to Paris. Never mind. Do get better and leave things. Frida sends many sympathies. We shall see you soon. Yours, D. H. Lawrence. Letter 25. This is to T.D.D. The Cerne, near Edenbridge, Kent. 7 July 1914. Dear D, I was glad to get your still sad letter, and sorry you are so down yet. I can't help thinking that you wouldn't be quite so down if you and Mrs. D didn't let yourselves be separated, rather by this trouble. Why do you do that? I think the trouble ought to draw you together, and you seem to let it put you apart. Of course, I may be wrong, and you seem to let it put you apart. It seems a shame that her one cry when she is in distress should be for her mother. You ought to be the mother and father to her. Perhaps if you go away to your unhealthy post, it may be good for you. But perhaps you may be separating your inner life from hers. I don't mean anything actual and external, but you may be taking yourself inwardly apart from her, and leaving her inwardly separate from you, which is no true marriage and is a form of failure. I am awfully sorry, because I think that no amount of outward trouble and stress of circumstance could really touch you both if you were together. But if you're not together, of course the strain becomes too great, and you want to be alone and she wants her mother. And it seems to me an awful pity if, after you have tried, you have to fail and go separate ways. I'm not speaking of a vulgar outward separation. I know you would always be a good, reliable husband, but there is more than that. There is the real sharing of one life. I can't help thinking your love for Mrs. D hasn't quite been vital enough to give you yourself peace. One must learn to love and go through a good deal of suffering to get it, like any knight of the Grail, and the journey is always towards the other soul, not away from it. Do you think love is an accomplished thing the day it is recognized? It isn't. To love, you have to learn to understand the other more than she understands herself, and to submit to her understanding of you. It is damnably difficult and painful, but it is the only thing which endures. You mustn't think that your desire or your fundamental need is to make a good career, or to fill your life with activity, or even to provide for your family materially. It isn't. Your most vital necessity in this life is that you shall love your wife completely and implicitly and in entire nakedness of body and spirit. Then you will have peace and inner security, no matter how many things go wrong. And this peace and security will leave you free to act and to produce your own work, a real independent workman. You asked me once what my message was. I haven't got any general message because I believe a general message is a general means of sidetracking one's own personal difficulties, like Christ's. Thou shalt love thy neighbour as thyself has given room for all the modern filthy system of society. But this that I tell you is my message as far as I've got any. Please don't mind what I say. You know I don't really want to be impertinent or interfering. Mrs. Huntingdon is coming over to England this month. Probably she would bring Mrs. D, but perhaps Noemi would be better. I'm sorry Paddy is still so seedy. He is a strange boy. I think he will need a lot of love. He has a curious, heavy consciousness, a curious awareness of what people feel for him. I think he will need a lot of understanding and a lot of loving. He may, I think, have quite an unusual form of intelligence. When you said he might be a musician, it struck me. He has got that curious difference from other people, which may mean he is going to have a distinct creative personality, but he will suffer a great deal and he will want a lot of love to make up for it. I think our marriage comes off at the Kensington Registrar's office on Saturday. I will try to remember to send you the times you asked for. When I get paid for my novel, I want to send you a small cheque for doing the novel. You will not mind if it is not very much that I send you. We are very tired of London already, and very glad to be down here in the country. Probably we are going to stay in Derbyshire, and then for August going to the west of Ireland. But I shall write and tell you. Don't be miserable. I have you and Mrs. D rather on my conscience just now. I feel as if you were taking things badly, but don't do that. Auf Wiedersehen. D. H. Lawrence. Remember me to Mrs. D. Letter 26. To Harriet Monroe. The Triangle, Bellington Lane, Chesham, Bucks. 1st October 1914. Dear Harriet Monroe, I am glad to hear my Ophelia shall go in whole, a great relief to me. I could not bear that she should be cut through the middle, and the top half given to me, and the lower half given to the world. I am not her mother, you Solomon with the sword. Send me the draft here to this God-forsaken little hole where I sit like a wise rabbit with my pen behind my ear and listen to distant noises. I am not in the war zone. I think I am too much valuable a creature to offer myself to a German bullet gratis and for fun. Neither shall I go in for your war poem. The nearest I could get to it would be in the vein of The Owl and the Pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea-green boat. And I know you wouldn't give me the $100. I will let you know if I change my address. Yours sincerely, D. H. Lawrence. Letter 27. To Edward Garnett, Bellington Lane, Chesham, Bucks. 13th October 1914. Dear Garnett, it is a long time since I have written, but the war puts a damper on one's own personal movement. It makes me feel very abstract, as if I and what I am did not matter very much. What are you doing? Do you still go as usual to Duckworth's? Or is there not so much work to do? The proofs of the stories keep on coming. What good printers these Plymouth people are. They never make a mistake. And how good my stories are after the first two. It really surprises me. Shall they be called the fighting line? After all, this is the real fighting line, not where soldiers pull triggers. We hear now and then from Germany, every German heart full of the altar fire of sacrifice to the war. 2 of the Richthofen intimate officer friends killed. Der gute Oeder von Henning ist am 7 September by Charleroi gefallen. That is the spirit. Frieda's father is very ill. She and I hardly quarrel any more. We have a little money. Not much. Enough. Pinker sold Honour and Arms to America for £25, and I had a little from the Manchester Guardian. Here the autumn has been very beautiful. We are quite isolated, amid wide grassy roads with quantities of wild autumn fruit. This is curiously pale-tinted country, beautiful for the blueness and mists of autumn. I have been writing my book, more or less, very much less, about Thomas Hardy. I have done a third of it. When this much is typed, I shall send it to Bertram Christian. I wonder if you will come and see us. I should be very glad. It is not dear. There are cheap weekend tickets. And why doesn't David come? Come for a weekend, will you? We have a bed. Any weekend after this text. Our love to Mrs. Garnett. D. H. Lawrence. Letter 28. To Lady Cynthia Asquith. Greatham, Pulborough, Sussex. Sunday, 30th January 1915. Dear Lady Cynthia, We were very glad to hear from you. I wanted to send you a copy of my stories at Christmas. Then I didn't know how the war had affected you. I knew Herbert Asquith was joined, and I thought you'd rather be left alone, perhaps. We have no history since we saw you last. I feel as if I had less than no history, as if I had spent those 5 months in the tomb. And now I feel very sick and corpse cold, too newly risen to share yet with anybody, having the smell of the grave in my nostrils, and a feel of grave clothes about me. The war finished me. It was the spear through the side of all sorrows and hopes. I had been walking in Westmoreland, rather happy, with water lilies twisted round my hat, big, heavy, white and gold water lilies that we found in a pool high up, and girls who had come out on a spree and who were having tea in the upper room of an inn shrieked with laughter. And I remember also we crouched under the loose wall on the moors, and the rain flew by in streams, and the wind came rushing through the chinks in the wall behind one's head, and we shouted songs, and I imitated music hall turns, while the other men crouched under the wall, and I pranked in the rain on the turf in the gorse. And Kotiliansky groaned Hebrew music, Tiranenu Zadikim Badonai. It seems like another life. We were happy, 4 men. Then we came down to Barrow-in-Furness and saw that war was declared. And we all went mad. I can remember soldiers kissing on Barrow Station, and a woman shouting defiantly to her sweetheart, "When you get at 'em, Clem, let 'em have it," as the train drew off. And in all the tramcars, war, Messrs. Vickers Maxim call in their workmen, and the great notices on Vickers gateways, and the thousands of men streaming over the bridge. Then I went down the coast a few miles, and I think of the amazing sunsets over flat sands and the smoky sea, then of sailing in a fisherman's boat running in the wind against a heavy sea, and a French onion boat coming in with her sails set splendidly in the morning sunshine, and the electric suspense everywhere, and the amazing, vivid, visionary beauty of everything, heightened by the immense pain everywhere. And since then, since I came back, things have not existed for me. I have spoken to no one, I have touched no one, I have seen no one. All the while, I swear, my soul lay in the tomb, not dead, but with a flat stone over it, a corpse become corpse cold, and nobody existed because I did not exist myself. Yet I was not dead, only passed over, trespassed, and all the time I knew I should have to rise again. Now I am feeble and half alive. On the downs on Friday I opened my eyes again and saw it was daytime, and I saw the sea lifting up and shining like a blade with the sun on it, and high up in the icy wind an aeroplane flew towards us from the land, and the men ploughing and the boys in the fields on the tablelands and the shepherds stood back from their work and lifted their faces. And the aeroplane was small and high in the thin ice-cold wind, and the birds became silent and dashed to cover, afraid of the noise. And the aeroplane floated high out of sight, and below, on the level earth away down, were floods and stretches of snow, and I knew I was awake. But as yet my soul is cold and shaky and earthy. I don't feel so hopeless now I am risen. My heart has been as cold as a lump of dead earth all this time, because of the war. But now I don't feel so dead. I feel hopeful. I couldn't tell you how fragile and tender this hope is, the new shoot of life. But I feel hopeful now about the war. We should all rise again from this grave, though the soldiers killed will have to wait for the last trump. There is my autobiography, written because you asked me, and because, being risen from the dead, I know we shall all come through, rise again, and walk healed and whole and new in a big inheritance here on earth. It sounds preachy, but I don't quite know how to say it. Viola Meynell has lent us this rather beautiful cottage. We are quite alone. It is at the foot of the downs. I wish you would come and see us, and stay a day or 2. It is quite comfortable. There is hot water and a bathroom and 2 spare bedrooms. I don't know when we shall be able to come to London. We are too poor for excursions, but we should like to see you, and it is nice here. D. H. Lawrence. Letter 29 to Lady Ottoline Morell. Gratham, Pulborough, Sussex, March 1915. My dear Lady Ottoline, I send you the next batch of the manuscript. There will only be one more lot. I hope you will like it. Monica has a motor car every day to drive her out, so we go too. Today we drove to Bognor. It was strange at Bognor, a white, vague, powerful sea, with long waves falling heavily, with a crash of frosty white out of the pearly whiteness of the day of the wide sea. And the small boats that were out in the distance heaved and seemed to glisten shadowly. Strange the sea was, so strong. I saw a soldier on the pier with only one leg. He was young and handsome, and strangely self-conscious and slightly ostentatious, but confused. As yet he does not realize anything. He is still in the shock, and he is strangely roused by the women who seem to have a craving for them. They look at him with eyes of longing, and they want to talk to him, so he is roused, like a roused male. Yet there is more wistfulness and wonder than passion or desire. I could see him under chloroform having the leg amputated. It was still in his face, but he was brown and strong and handsome. It seemed to me anything might come out of that white, silent, opalescent sea, and the great icy shocks of foam were strange. I felt as if legions were marching in the mist. I cannot tell you why, but I am afraid. I am afraid of the ghosts of the dead. They seem to come marching home in legions over the white, silent sea, breaking in on us with a roar and a white iciness. Perhaps this is why I feel so afraid. I don't know. But the land beyond looked warm, with a warm blue sky, very homely, and over the sea legions of white ghosts tramping. I was on the pier. So they are making a coalition government. I cannot tell you how icy cold my heart is with fear. It is as if we were all going to die. Did I not tell you my revolution would come? It will come, God help us. The ghosts will bring it. Why does one feel so coldly afraid? Why does even the coalition of the government fill me with terror? Some say it is for peace negotiations. It may be, because we are all afraid. But it is most probably for conscription. The touch of death is very cold and horrible on us all. D. H. Lawrence. It is the whiteness of the ghost legions that is so awful. Letter 30 to Lady Ottoline Morell. Gratham, Pulborough, Sussex, 14 May 1915. My dear Lady Ottoline, I wonder if you are still in Buxton and if you got the last batch of manuscripts. Enclosed with a copy of the Imagist Anthology, which contains some of my verses. If you got them, tell me, will you? We were in London for 4 days. Beautiful weather, but I don't like London. My eyes can see nothing human that is good nowadays. At any rate, nothing public. London seems to me like some hoary, massive underworld, or hoary, ponderous inferno. The traffic flows through the rigid grey streets like the rivers of hell through their banks of dry, rocky ash. The fashions and the women's clothes are very ugly. Coming back here, I find the country very beautiful. The apple trees are leaning forwards, all white with blossoms, towards the green grass. I watch, in the morning when I wake up, a thrush on the wall outside the window. Not a thrush, a blackbird, and he sings, opening his beak. It is a strange thing to watch his singing, opening his beak and giving out his calls and warblings, then remaining silent. He looks so remote, so buried in primeval silence, standing there on the wall, and bethinking himself, then opening his beak to make the strange, strong sounds. He seems as if his singing were a sort of talking to himself, or of thinking aloud his strongest thoughts. I wish I was a blackbird like him. I hate men. The ouselcock of sable hue and orange-yellow bill. The bluebells are all out in the woods, under the new vivid leaves, but they are rather dashed aside by yesterday's rain. It would be nice if the Lord sent another flood and drowned the world. Probably I should want to be Noah. I'm not sure. I've got again into one of those horrible sleeps from which I can't wake. I can't brush it aside to wake up. You know those horrible sleeps when one is struggling to wake up and can't. I was like it all autumn. Now I am again like it. Everything has a touch of delirium. The blackbird on the wall is a delirium. Even the apple blossom. And when I see a snake winding rapidly in the marshy places, I think I am mad. It is not a question of me, it is the world of men. The world of men is dreaming. It has gone mad in its sleep, and a snake is strangling it, but I can't wake up. When I read of the Lusitania and of the riots in London, I know it is so. I think soon we must get up and try to stop it. Let us wait a little longer. Then, when we cannot bear it any longer, we must try to wake up the world of men, which has gone mad in its sleep. I cannot bear it much longer, so let the madness get stronger and stronger possession. Soon we in England shall go fully mad with hate. I too hate the Germans so much I could kill every one of them. Why should they goad us to this frenzy of hatred? Why should we be tortured to madness when we are only grieved in our souls? And heavy. They will drive our heaviness and our grief away in a fury of rage. And we don't want to be worked up into this fury, this destructive madness of rage. Yet we must. We are goaded on and on. I am mad with rage myself. I would like to kill 1 million Germans, 2 millions. I wonder when we shall see you again, and where you are. I have promised to stay here for another month at least, to teach Mary Saliby. Her mother has a nervous breakdown, and they asked me to teach the child. I do it for the child's sake, for nothing else. So my mornings are taken up for 3.5 hours each day. Don't take any notice of my extravagant talk. One must say something. Write soon and tell us where you are and how you are. I feel a little bit anxious about you when you do not write. Bye. D. H. Lawrence. And that was the 30th letter in this collection of 100 selected letters of D. H. Lawrence.